mid for how many years now in Dota 2. Might be able to work this one out. He has played Dazzle mid. He should know its shortcomings as well. I'm keen on seeing why they opted for the prioritization in Timber support. I feel like Visage support could still hold that role. They are swinging around, but Ace does break the smoke at the very least. So no deep commitment early on from the Shadows here for Heroic, unfortunately.
Heroic, they'll still hold their position in the dire triangle and just wait it out. No wards placed yet, so they aren't exactly seeing this movement quite yet here on Heroic's end of things, and it seems like Gaimin are very well aware that this could be coming, though. They're more than happy to just kind of sit back and wait this one out. Kind of the thing against drafts where you have like a Visage, you don't really want to fight against Visage or Dazzle level 1, you know, it's just not a very fun experience. They'd much rather just avoid the fights altogether if they can for now.
It's rather interesting as well from Devi. He doesn't go for the money facet on the Soul Assumption. He does go for Sepulcher. So looking for more control, more ways of just providing some hold in these team fights, a little bit more slowdown, fighting over runes.
Well, they are going to be able to pick it up here for Celery. He will be able to get away with one extra. It's going to be a 2-for-2 trade anyway, so nothing really to write home about. And of course, we can start with the mid lane, where you are going to see Quinn on the MK against the Dazzle of Analog. Now again, in theory, this should be a pretty challenging lane for Quinn.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy. You've got range advantage, obviously, for Analog. You've got the Poison Bloom facet. You can just nuke down this Creep Wave. If he does come into farm, you've got the Shadow Wave to shove him away. You've got Sustain on Analog. Maybe a little bit more mana intense for Analog in that sense. So you will need some easy rune access for himself if his supports can provide it, but you've got a highly mobile support in the Timbersaw. You can just chain onto the 4-minute, 6-minute rune as well to just secure that. And we'll see if this gets any easier for Quinn. For now, at the very least, he's keeping up in CS. Analog is shoving out quite hard. He's not really able to stop it too much. But by level 2, level 3, around level 3 actually for Analog, with either the 2 points in Shadow Wave or in the Poison Touch, it does become a nightmare here for the Monkey.
Absolutely, and Quinn's doing a very good job of just securing those first few kind of waves before the damage output does get ridiculous from Analog. He already has done a very good job in terms of CS, but this is probably around the time it's going to start looking very, very challenging for Quinn, especially at the level 3 mark. But already you're going to start to see some drama here for the MK. We'll see how he does deal with it. Of course, we'll look at the side lanes. You do have Durachio and Celery up at top lane against the Vailama and Schofield. What do you think about that top lane, Jonathan? Like, do you give an advantage one way or the other?
I like the aggression that can come out here from Gaimin. I think a Naga support can just enable a lot of plays here, especially if you do manage to get that value point in End Snare. We have seen a lot of players still kind of go all the way in Deluge, like a 1-0-2 build, or a 2-0-1 to sometimes play poke with the illusions a little bit more. I feel like the net is massive for the Muerta to set up. Right, you land it with a Calling on the edge, you set up for Dead Shot, you can run down. It is a fairly durable lane from the side of Heroic. You don't quite have Gravekeepers up yet from Devi, but trying to cut through Schofield does make this a little bit of an interesting conundrum in that they have ways to commit. Committing onto the Timbersaw might not be the easiest. They do cut the tree line though, so it's not the easiest for Schofield to just spam out Timber Chain, get some free damage with the Splinters, and get some slows to try to capitalize with a Grave Chill as well. Overall, it's still a very stable farm lane for Durachio. Maybe a little bit more threatening by around level 4 in this case, or level 5 when Devi can try to all in on the Soul Assumption or the Grave Shield for a chase down. That's when the Visage can really start to threaten safer here.
Bottom lane, of course, as well. The one lane we haven't really talked about yet. You've got K1, along with his Ench, against Tofu, and Ace on the Brood and the Sniper. And so far for K1, the lane has looked rather challenging as Ace, of course, is able to sustain himself very easily, and Tofu has been very annoying on that position for Sniper. I'm not sure if this lane's going to get too much easier for K1 as the levels do get up. In fact, if you're looking at King Jungles right now being chased down by Ace, but they will leave him be, it still does start to feel like Ace is going to have a pretty free lane.
Now, there's not really much you can do to stop this. Middle lane matchup for Broodmother feels good. You've got the Necrotic Webs as well to kind of slow down just how much Hector can heal up through his Dragon Blood innate. And of course, you've got that nuking threat from Tofu if you do overstep. The Shrapnel Scatterblast is just... Scattershot is just a little bit too much to really try to contend with. You are getting that stable start for Ace. He's not running down this lane by any means, but he's certainly making it a lot slower for Hector, who we are used to seeing Hector be on top in most of his heroes, flash farming in with the illusions. You don't quite have that, so you need that stable laning start to get things going. A little bit of a gate movement here from King Jungles.
Schofield getting quite low, will be okay now. King Jungles does come in, and Durantio is being targeted and does go down. A huge pickup already from the side of Heroic, and a very nice rotation from King Jungles. In fact, Celery also getting blocked very nicely from King. Oh, he finds that perfect juke spot, just stands right in between him and the enemy, and well, that's a 2 for nothing. Very strong start from Heroic.
Yeah, that's exactly what you want to see out from Heroic. Utilizing this engine in a very meaningful way with a rotation. It's a DK lane down bot. It is a safe laner you can afford to leave behind. You're seeing just how aggressive your Timbersaw can go as well. The Timber Chain with that Splinter damage to slow. The chase down potential is always there for Schofield. That does draw in Quinn.
Thing is, you do lose K1 bottom lane, but now top lane. Schofield, he'll be getting chased down. Does get a ward down before he does drop. Still not quite as good of a kill as the DK, but I mean, both of them were on Gaimin's side, so happy days for them. K1 going down in the meantime, Jonathan. The bigger deal to talk about, I think. Just kind of got left alone and just got chased down by Tofu and Ace.
I mean, you are tanky as a DK, but you really have to respect that magic damage coming out from Tofu. Even just the level 1 shrapnel all fully spammed onto Hector. It's going to be a lot. Again, you're not regening as much under these necrotic webs, and there's not really much play you can do here for Hector outside of just trying to Dragon Tail stun to run away. The movement for Quinn is meaningful as well, because again, his lane down mid is probably the slowest lane here for Gaimin. And the kill allows him to get some EXP, a little bit more gold flowing. Analog can't really do anything extra while the Monkey King's gone. And the lane stays exactly the same anyhow, considering the matchup. Are trying to shove in on mid, and they have done some decent damage onto this objective, however. It is something that we can't quite deal with yet on Gaimin.
They're hunting Quinn, but Quinn, he's just being so slippery. Oh, Schofield, he was so close to chopping the right tree down with the Whirling Death, but Quinn just way too quick with the Simian Stride. Does get away, is now bot lane. K1 in trouble again, and there's no chance of getting out. Durantio will take him down. Another great kill for Gaimin.
And again, it's down to this draft having so much magic damage in lane. And this DK is not going to feel that comfy, even in solo, in a situation where theoretically a DK should be relatively happy. KJ?
Yeah, I mean, KJ, he just TP'd right in to the outpost and sadly was not anticipating Durantio just to be standing there waiting for him. And well, with that, KJ will go down, and Tofu even finds Analog. So they've lost their mid-dazzle on top.
Yeah, they're finding everything inside of Gaimin. I really like this gate movement out from Gaimin earlier on to secure that kill on the DK. They're going to slow down this tempo, this fast timing that Hector wants. He's trying to go into the armlet S and Y. It's actually a pretty challenging game for Heroic. This is something that we didn't really mention, but this necrotic webs is actually destroying KJ. He's not regenerating as much as you'd expect with the overprotective wisps and the nature's attendance at level 2 because he's standing under these webs. It's free real estate for Ace. And that's also going to be, again, a running issue for Hector already, as he has struggled to just try to be that tanky DK and hold the lane solo.
I mean, the fun part is that the regen reduction with those webs is going to count for the whole game as well, because you're up against Ench, Dazzle, and a DK, and a Timber, and even a Visage. Like, there's a lot of value this game for that minus 30% regen.
It's going to do so much work. You're going to get the Spirit Vessel on top. You're just not going to regen at all. So the healing factor is just gone. That completely negates Analog in his presence. His damage can still be crazy, but the reason why Dazzle is insane is because he can sustain end damage. You take away one part of that equation, the hero kind of falls flat.
It does. The Vile Armor, he's going to send the Familiars down through the Twin Gates to scout out what's going on. He will run into Ace, and Ace looks like he's not even going to waste his time. Oh, he might try. See if he can find a Familiar, and he does. Gets one at least. Very nice.
Nice
top lane. Analog's already gone down here to Quinn. Meanwhile, top K1's in trouble, though it seems he'll be just fine to get away. Back into the mid lane, though. Schofield won't go for the chase. Does get stunned up, and Quinn will be just fine to get his way out. But they've lost Analog again. So that mid Dazzle dying for a second time in the last minute. Not the greatest of news.
No, all your cores are kind of suffering on the side of Heroic at the moment. You're going to need to really eat up a lot of jungle space for Hector and Analog. And it doesn't feel like the Vi can really connect with these two supports in a big way. It does feel like you need at least two of the cores to play here. And Gaimin are just going to be able to kind of take control this way. I do like the forward vision set up by Heroic. They are watching that top jungle closely. It's just that Gaimin aren't even bothering with a top jungle. They're just playing the lanes directly and punishing whenever any of these heroes try to get that build-up. A nice, solid 2-6 start for Gaimin. 3k lead on hand. Go for a smoke play now, trying to hunt down.
Absolutely. Back down towards the bottom lane where K1 was showing on the creep wave, so they know the DK's around here somewhere. And K1, he's got no TP. He does not have a way out if they do run into him. They'll see Schofield and they'll try for the Timbersaw instead, but Schofield will back his way out just in the nick of time. Do they keep... Oh, K1, he's going to show. He's going to show. Unfortunate here for the DK, because now they're definitely going to go right for the Dragon Knight. And it really is that easy. Once you've got the Vessel up on top, which Ace certainly does, it's not looking great here for Heroic.
And it isn't. You've got the maxed out webs, so that 30% regen reduction plus another reduction from the Spirit Vessel as well. You're not going to be tanky. Like, there is no durability here right now for Heroic. And that's where they opened with this draft. They opened with the DK Timbersaw unveiling like this tanky front line. They've got the magic damage to deal with it anyhow with a sniper support pickup. Gaimin taking control of that bot jungle, already pressuring in the mid. The creep army of Ace. You really don't have options right now on the side of Heroic. It kind of comes down to this draft. They needed to win out the lanes. They needed to have these durable heroes kind of hold their lanes out, provide openings to kind of hit some tempo. They'll try with smoke out here, though.
And the T1 tower's already gone. Poison touch out from Analog doesn't even land onto Ace. Still waiting, hoping they'll go for the kill onto the Dazzle, but this feels rather obvious, and Gaimin, they agree. They're actually running right towards K1 again. Schofield's going to be around to try and tank the gank for his carry. Meanwhile, the rest of GG's still hanging around in that Radiant jungle, just seeing the Vile Armor, but it's not quite the target they want to start with. Hoping to see maybe somebody else. They'll use the mirror images to scout out a little bit. They'll see KJ, but that's not really a target you want to jump either. K1 is definitely the best target they could go for, but he has friends around, so they're not going to try.
They are keeping it pressured. Look at this position from Heroic. They're all hugging one jungle. And the side of Gaimin, sure, they're hugging that same position for a little bit longer, but you did manage to split up. Diracho is just taking control of the top jungle, not the most northern part under vision either. So he's a little bit more protected, understanding that's where they've been hunting down on Heroic. That's probably where they've set up their vision as well for some movement. And you're still being much more efficient on the map on Gaimin. Even though you're not finding kills, you are forcing Heroic to slow down their farm severely here, just to dissuade Gaimin from trying to find kills.
Lane, they have found Schofield, so that's going to be a nice easy pick-off here for Gaimin Gladiators. As they might even just look towards that bottom tier 2 tower now. I mean, there's just nothing to stop Gaimin. Like, KJ, he kind of hangs around for a second, immediately, of course, runs away, leaves the Hellbear Smasher to try and do something here against Celery. But that tier 2 bottom tower, it is just as good as gone. And there's just no tempo from Heroic right now. Like, usually you want to play off your offlane Visage, but Divide really hasn't got that much farm to speak of. Everyone's pretty behind. Analog could not help out on the Dazzle at the moment. He's just trying to rush his Aghanim Scepter to actually have some value in these team fights. It's just all Gaimin. Like, the complete control for this dire side.
Yeah. Again, the lineup for Heroic just doesn't provide a lot of play. You don't have an easy way of starting fights. I mean, the Atos from the Vi does somewhat help, but you don't really have burst damage on hand. You prefer prolonged fights with your theoretically tanky lineup that's counteracted by Gaimin's draft. Gaimin angling for another kill here as they go with a smoke.
Gaimin I'd love to try and sneak into that Radiant Triangle, and in fact, Quinn, he's going to get there. Analog may get caught with his pants down, but they'll go for KJ instead. Just try for the easier kill, though KJ does survive for now, and Quinn, he has been caught out by Devi. They're forced to pop the song. Celery will give them a way to retreat. This Gaimin not getting the start they really wanted. You saw that little hesitation from Quinn with the Boundless. He doesn't aim for Analog, but rather goes for KJ. But if you don't kill the Dazzle while he has Shallow Grave, like it's just not going to be a good fight.
No. I have to take care of that back line. You do see, again, there is damage potential for Heroic that you managed to isolate.
They found Ace. This would be a big one if they could get it. Ace, dropping low, does go down. They secure one. Quinn, he did pop the Wukong's command, still tasting Devi Lama, but Devi Lama is actually returning a lot of damage back his way. In comes Tofu to try and help out. They're doing a lot of damage here to Schofield. Meanwhile, Devi still controlling up the MK with these familiars. Does get another stun off, but they don't have the backup. Devi needs to run. Gaimin, they've got too many numbers here. They'll find the Visage, and they'll probably find his familiars to boot.
A lot of gold bleed out there from the side of Heroic. Gaimin, they get punished a little bit for overextending on Ace, and they did have vision. They feel secure in that area. Just not everyone on top with Ace quick enough to save that Brood. A nice meaningful kill for the side of Heroic to find at heavy cost. Like, it is giving some space out for Hector to farm up. You've got the Ags up on Analog, so there is some more damage in these prolonged fights, especially for the Dazzle to try and shine now. And just the additional right-click damage, the additional bounces on the wave is going to make a big difference. This could be one point as well where Ace has to be very careful about his micro with the Spiderlings, because the Shadow Wave bounce on enemies is going to melt him if he's not careful.
K1, like, he just trying to farm the northern side of the map right now. We'll be able to TP away and get the hell out of there before Quinn does find him. Now, Heroic, they're doing a pretty good job of just avoiding Gaimin for now. I mean, it is still just 3-10 with a 3k advantage Gaimin's way, and I think Heroic understand it's only going to take one good team fight and some key items to turn this game on its head once again. The thing is, Gaimin just... it feels like they're just playing so confident. Everything just seems to go their way. All their cores are finding farm. In fact, Duracio's the slowest farm at the moment, but he is certainly catching up very, very quickly. And it feels as though Gaimin, like, going into the later stages of the game, their cores do start to feel like they just scale better.
Not just the cores, even the supports, right? Like, Tofu could transition into a little bit more damage. I think we saw Q do that yesterday on his sniper. There is potential for everyone to scale also.
Oh, K1, he's just had a target on his back this whole game. Caught out again. The TPs are just too slow. They'll at least get a Shallow Grave off. He's got a bit of time to try and survive, but it's just not enough. There's no way to help him regen through that, as now Celery will just pop the song and run. They're more than happy with the target they've acquired. And Heroic, they're desperately trying to save this Dragon Knight every single time, but it's just not quick enough.
No. And again, you talked about Duracho a while ago. I love the contrast here. Duracho is just on the opposite side all by himself. Analog?
Yeah, I mean, Analog shows himself in that bottom wave. They were just there. He thought that they were alone, and now Analog's gone. Schofield trying to help out can do nothing as Devi Lama's rushing forward on his own, but you cannot do it by yourself, sir. He is also dead. And more familiars to come here for Gaimin Gladiators. They will surround. And I'll tell you what, John, I mean, they've got to find an answer for all this minus regen soon. It's the Spirit Vessel plus these webs are making it impossible for this Dazzle to keep anyone alive. Like, you're going to need this BKB to come up a lot sooner, I think, for K1. He's about to finish off the SNY, but that BKB, it really just couldn't come any sooner. As Duracio, maybe he will die. KJ, he's trying to make some magic happen here with this Wild Wing Ripper, but it's not going to be enough, and he's gone. It's that BKB just has to come out quicker.
And it does. I mean, I appreciate that play coming out from KJ. I feel like that's what they need to do. If they see Gaimin clumping up in one lane, they should go to the opposite side. That's where Duracho's been farming. He's been keeping himself as far away from his own team as possible as the late game check. Oh.
Shallowgrave's going to save a little bit. In fact, now Schofield will rush in, and K1 is also there, but Quinn is just standing his ground, not giving a crap, and K1 is just dead. You know, John, it's starting to look like they're a little bit tilted here, as the Vailama will also die, and Analog will closely follow. I almost get the air of just maybe a bit of a loss of confidence in their draft here. So it just feels like they're starting to run at Gaimin.
Yeah, I think they're a little bit... I don't think it's a loss of confidence in draft. I think they just feel overwhelmed, right? They're not able to find these solo pickoffs. They're starting to play a little bit disjointed on the side of Heroic. KJ has the right idea to run down bot, almost snipes Deracho. The rest of his team aren't on board. They're still hugging the areas Gaimin's core team is still playing at on top and mid. They have to dodge these fights as much as possible. They have to try to smoke, go deep, because they've already seen where Deracho stays. Again, he stays on the opposite side of the map. If they're up top, he's going to be down bot. If they're going to be on mid, he's going to be in either side lane, which is a little bit harder to figure out. But they need to get a smoke and just drop some wards. I think that's the best idea. Get some deep wards in on the jungles, if possible, and try to hunt later on.
Ace is making things so hard. Like, he really is. Between him and Quinn, and even Tofu, just being able to scout out consistently, and the Celery now finding Divine Llama, apparently, as they are going to try and jump in onto Ace, but the Broodmother is just so tanky, and he's got help. K1 in trouble again. He survives for now, but for how long? The answer is not very long, as KJ also caught out, will go down for a 4-hero wipe. The only survivor is going to be Analog, who just ran. He knew there was no hope.
Yeah. They try to cut their losses. They lose a lot, no, for the side of Heroic and Gaimin. A very clean game coming out. You know, we expected the lanes to be a little bit stronger here from Heroic, especially on mid. Didn't feel like Analog could really find a way to leverage that Poison Touch, the Shadow Wave threats onto Quinn. Quinn just rotates out 5, gets a kill, is back in the game. Wasn't really too far behind the lane anyhow. And a 16k lead for Gaimin. It's not fully insurmountable for Heroic, but the path back to this game, just, it's going to take a long time to kind of equalize. That BKB you were mentioning there, Mike, it's a key thing for Hector to find. He cannot take any of these fights with just the SNY. The armlet's going to be useless as well. You can't toggle through anything here. With all the debuffs on hand, they've got to be able to, I don't know, like, get some vision out. There's just no vision whatsoever. They've got these wards down bot in their own jungle that Gaimin hasn't touched since Ace died there. Everywhere else is still free game for Gaimin.
Oh boy, K1 caught, and I'll tell you what, John, you can't blame K1 at this point, because he's playing position 1 and there's literally not an inch of space. There is nothing. Like, between Ace and Quinn, again, these guys have made it impossible for him to find any kind of fun. Like, it's too much vision. Even Tofu with the shrapnels, it's just too much.
I mean, Analog's the one eating up all this space. He was hugging the bot jungle, he goes through the gate, he's clearing out the creep wave, he's going to be eating up that top jungle as well, as they take care of the Vi and take care of the tier 3 into the racks. I feel like that's the position Hector should be in. He should have been the one running down through these bot camps. The Dazzle should be on high ground control, just shadow waving the creep wave. And it's just a little bit flipped here for Heroic.
Well, they're going to let Schofield walk away. No issues there. They don't care to chase him down. Top lane, they want to go after Analog, but he will TP away, realizing they are incoming. Now Gaimin, do they want to keep going or do they want to just retreat? It seems like they'll just settle for the mid-tier 2 tower, if not just kill off KJ here as Quinn is going to jump in, though there is Schofield trying to help out. Quinn, though, tanking through all the damage thus far is KJ, gets caught, still not dead yet. They will be forced to pop the song. But ultimately the reset, it's going to allow Gaimin to set up very nicely here for another fight. KJ still being targeted here by Ace, though he's not dead quite yet, but he is now. The Spirit Vessel will get rid of him. It's Divine Llama. Rooted up. Quinn still moving forward. Celery, he'll do the same. They're getting low though. Hold on a minute. Quinn, he needs to run. He's in danger and he's gone. Celery and Quinn are gone. Divine Llama dropping low to Deracio, but Deracio is kind of on his own here. He needs some help, but the help is not coming. Deracio still trying to fight, but he's down. In comes Ace now. One by one they come, but one by one they are falling. Ace, can you do anything here, sir? The answer is no. The answer is no, and Jonathan, I cannot believe my eyes. Heroic are making what appears to be a comeback.
And they reeled back a 5k swing their way on Heroic off the back, but it was kills. A 5k swing. An insane amount of gold for them to kind of try to equalize. And that is one big issue for Gaimin. This time around, Analog doesn't present himself up front. He's nice and safe, tucked away at the back. He gets to spam out his spells. The song out, the defensive song setup from Celery does get a little bit of a reset for Gaimin, but they were also playing without their spells. They didn't have Wukong's ready. They barely had Gleipnir ready as well as the song faded away. And they weren't in position for that fight. Getting a little bit overconfident there.
Celery? Speaking of overconfidence, Celery just casually running through the mid lane. Doesn't matter though, because he will not get punished for it. And yeah, I mean, we're still seeing highlights of that last fight. I mean, it looked good to start, but once the song was gone, everyone just started to melt, and it's seemingly getting to a stage where K1 is starting to become a pretty big problem with all the damage he's dishing out. And of course, Analog just sitting back and ensuring he does not get caught makes life even harder for Gaimin. And that really is the key. Just make sure this Dazzle does not get caught out. See if they can do it again here, John.
I think the one thing as well for Gaimin, which is kind of interesting, I didn't really mention this earlier, we do have the Ofrenda from Duracho that could help in the middle of these fights and could lead to some interesting circumstances if he forgets to turn off that Ofrenda. I'm not sure where he planted it even. Do you see where he planted his Ofrenda? I haven't even noticed this entire match. Has he even used it?
I have not. I don't know. I wish there was a little bit of like an emblem we could see, you know, to really make it obvious.
There used to be like a candle emblem on the map. I just don't see it. Oh, there it is. Yeah, it's... I don't know if that's an emblem. Yeah, it's by the Watcher on the Radiant Tormentor. Which is an interesting spot for it. Here goes Roshan. And here goes the smoke out from Heroic. They've got the lines drawn properly, but Roche is melting a little bit too quick.
It certainly is. Gaimin will certainly play it a little bit safer, secure the Roshan. Duracho, of course, will take the Aegis for himself, and the rest of the squad, they're just going to go straight through the twin gates down towards the bottom lane. There is no T2 towers left standing here for the side of Heroic, so could be easy pickings here for these Raxes now, but Heroic, they are thinking about going through the twin gates.
Oh.
Problem is, Gaimin have vision on that high ground. One familiar, second familiar will come through, but I don't believe the hero should. And they will not. They will leave.
Yeah. I mean, at the least, they just scouted familiars. You lose your familiars, it's fine. The Vi has them on a 20-second cooldown. Not too long until they're back up to scout around the map. Gaimin are very set up for this high ground fight now, though. Not quite the BKB timing yet for Duracho. Still a lot of time on the Aegis. You've got your own BKB ready on Quinn. Fresh 9-second charge still on hand. And they can slowly siege him. You still have a sniper. Sure, it's a support, but can reach back. It can scout out for the shrapnel a little bit. Nice steady push here for Gaimin.
We go. T3 tower. Under siege. Ofrenda has been dropped, by the way, Jonathan. Right down to that bottom lane. We'll keep tabs on that one. There's your Gleipnir out from Divide. Duracho, he's actually dropping quite low, and meanwhile, K1, he jumped the backside onto Tofu, but will ignore him instead, trying to go onto Quinn, but they've lost Schofield. Schofield, the first one to die, and he does not have buyback available. Keep in mind, K1, he's committed his BKB. So is Analog. So no BKBs left here for Heroic. They've got to play without him. It's not going to be an easy defense, but they're going to give it a crack. Gleipnir out again. Duracho dropping low, but still holds on to the Aegis. A Celery who'll pop the song. They want Divide Llama by the looks of it. A beautiful Wukong's command to set up. Divide immediately going down. No buyback available. K1 will be the next target. He's completely surrounded, and K1, he'll try to man up through this. They'll drop the shallow grave, but there is no saving this Dragon Knight, I do not believe, as they'll lose Analog on top. And it might be time. They'll call it. GG. Gaimin. A pretty convincing Game 1 victory, I'd argue.
And it is. And, you know, we looked at Heroic's draft. You figure with that kind of start on the draft, going for the DK Timbersaw very early on, they'd have this solid foundation to play off of. They got the